So I think when people think about a clinical trial, they sometimes don't, there might be stuff going on there that they're not quite sure about. Why is there an exclusion criteria? Why do I have to be randomized? What is stratification? And what we did in the session yesterday is have a think about how you'd build a question based around not a piece of science in particular, but just about the idea that there's a situation that I don't like, and an intervention that's been proposed that might make that situation better, and how we might construct that question of, does my intervention work? And that can involve some quite important things. Like, for starters, you need to define what it means to work. What are you going to measure? How are you going to measure it? When are you going to measure it? We need to think about how we de-bias the test so that it's a comparable thing. You're not biasing the result. But you also need to make the test sensitive. And the example we used last night is that if I'm hoping for a white Christmas in London, that's a test that's really hard because it's almost never. So if there's no possibility that any intervention would work, I'm not going to see the difference between my intervention and the gold standard of clinical care. And so we were really doing some basic question asking, and for the whole session we really de-scienced it from any particular trial or piece of science, because I wanted people to focus on the question asking aspect. I think people hadn't thought about the idea that a test needs to be useful and sensitive and unbiased. I think most people are happy with the idea that it should be unbiased, but the idea that you might not be able to see the difference between your intervention and the gold standard of care, I think might have been new to a few people. And also there's a really important thing about, I need to care about the outcome, and it would be easy to ask a question that looked from the outside like a useful outcome, but may not completely align with what the patient or the end user is interested in. And in the case that we were talking about last night, one problem with asking, is it a white Christmas on the Met Office Tower in London, is that I don't care. I care that when I open my curtains, my back garden's covered in snow. So there we were able to explore the idea of a surrogate measure where I haven't measured the thing I really care about, and that might be for legitimate reasons, but it has an implication to how good a question you've asked. So sometimes it's legit to ask a surrogate question, but you need to be aware that what you've measured is not what you really care about. It's a surrogate for what you care about, because what you care about might be difficult or impossible to measure. And I think that might have been quite interesting for people to think about.